The station's night cycle had 30 minutes left when Tom found the thing in the recycling chute. He almost didn't. Tom had worked the graveyard shift on Kathrani Station for 6 years, pushing his cart between the hydroponics bay and the diplomatic wing, emptying bins that alien dignitaries filled with things humans weren't supposed to understand. He was a janitor. Nobody looked at him twice. That was the point. But something in bin 14C was moving. Tom set down his mop and peered inside. Wrapped in a nest of discarded packing foam and singed cloth was a creature the size of a house cat, scaled in deep obsidian, with folded leathery wings pressed tight against a heaving ribcage. Its eyes were closed. Its breathing was shallow, wet, wrong. "Hey," Tom said softly, because that was what you said to frighten things. "Hey, easy." He didn't know what it was. He knew what it wasn't supposed to be: alive, in the trash, dying. Tom scooped it up in his jacket. It weighed almost nothing, all hollow bone and heat. Too much heat. Its skin burned against his palms, even through the fabric, and beneath the burn was a tremor, fast and irregular, like a bird's heart stuttering towards silence. He should have called security. He should have reported it to station administration, filled out Form 22B for unidentified biological materials, and gone back to mopping. Instead, Tom carried it to his supply closet, laid it on a folded tarp, and said, "Lily, wake up." Lily was the station's night shift medic in training, technically off-duty, technically asleep in the crew bunks 2 corridors down, and the only other person Tom trusted not to ask questions before helping. She arrived in pajama pants and a lab coat thrown over them, hair a mess, ready to be annoyed. Then she saw the hatchling. "Tom." Her voice went flat and careful. "That's a drake and eggkin. That's a dragon, Tom. Do you understand what you're holding?" "I understand it's dying," Tom said. That was enough for Lily. She'd complain later. She always did. They worked through the last 30 minutes of night cycle and into the first hour of the day cycle, hidden in a closet that smelled like antiseptic and mop water, using a medkit meant for humans on a creature built from entirely different chemistry. Lily guessed at dosages. Tom held the hatchling's head steady and kept talking to it in the low, useless voice you use on something that can't understand you, but might understand that you're trying. "Come on," he murmured when its breathing hitched. "Come on, don't you dare." The drake and hatchling did not die. By the time the station's lights simulated dawn, it was breathing steady, curled into the crook of Tom's arm, one eye cracked open and fixed on his face with an intensity that made Lily go very still. "It's imprinting," she said. "It's what?" "Drake and hatchling's imprint on whoever saves them from the threshold. That's what they call it, the space between dying and not. It's not a Terran phrase. I'm translating loosely. It means you're stuck with a dragon now, Tom." Tom looked down at the small black shape breathing against his ribs. "Okay," he said, like she'd told him he had a new houseplant. They kept it quiet for 3 days, feeding it a stew of nutrient paste and whatever protein Lily could smuggle from the medbay, until Station Administrator Voss found out. Because Voss found out about everything eventually. That was the job, and things got complicated fast. "That creature," Voss said, human but sharp-suited and sharper-tongued, standing in Tom's closet like it personally offended him, "belongs to the Ashgar Dominion. It was discarded because it hatched malformed, a runt, according to their biologists. Discarding malformed hatchlings is Ashgar practice, not our business." "It was alive," Tom said. "It was garbage, by their law. And now you've stolen Dominion property and hidden it from a species that could turn this station into debris with a thought. Do you understand the position you've put us in?" Tom did understand. He understood it well enough that his hands had gone cold. But he looked at the hatchling, awake now, watching Voss with slitted golden eyes, tucked protectively behind Tom's leg like it, too. Understood exactly what kind of danger this man represented, and he found he didn't regret it. Not even a little. "I'm not giving it back to be thrown away again," Tom said. Voss stared at him like he'd grown a second head. "You're a janitor." "Yeah," Tom said. "I am." The Ashgar Dominion delegation arrived 4 days later, and their emissary, a towering, chitinous being named Skrethval, made their position clear in the station's central atrium, in front of half the diplomatic wing. "The creature is defective," Skrethval said, translator flattened voice, carrying no warmth. "It was called per proper procedure. Its continued existence is an administrative error that the human station has failed to correct. We require its return, for disposal, immediately. Tom stood there in his work coveralls, the hatchling curled around his shoulders like a living scarf, and said, "No." The atrium went very quiet. "You would risk conflict," Skrethval said. "Over vermin? I'd risk conflict over anything that's still breathing when somebody decides it shouldn't be," Tom said. "That's kind of a human thing. We don't throw living things away because they're inconvenient. We're pretty stubborn about it, actually. Ask anyone who's tried to get rid of us." Skrethval's mandibles clicked in what might have been contempt, or might have been the alien equivalent of a threat display. "Then the Dominion will take what is ours." That was when the hatchling, small, scarred, once left for dead in a recycling bin, lifted its head, opened its mouth, and screamed. It wasn't a loud sound. It wasn't even especially fierce, but it carried a frequency that made every Draken-adjacent sensor on the station light up, and half a second later, the station's long-range array began registering something that made Lily, monitoring from ops, drop her coffee. Ships. A lot of ships. Coming in fast, translating out of subspace in a formation that looked less like an escort and more like a wall. "Tom." Lily's voice crackled over his calm, thin with disbelief. "Tom, I need you to tell me that thing didn't just call for backup." The lead vessel, vast, black-scaled in design, wings of alloy folded along its hull like a creature dreaming of flight, hailed the station moments later. The voice that came through was old, resonant, and utterly furious. "Who?" it said, in a standard translation matrix so thick with authority it made the air feel heavier. "Dared discard a hatchling of the old clutch." Skrethval, to their credit, did not flee. They simply went very, very still. It turned out the malformed runt was nothing of the sort. It was the last surviving hatchling of a Draken bloodline the Ashkar had been quietly trying to erase for 3 generations over some ancient territorial grudge, and the elder Draken matriarch on that flagship had spent months searching every discard record in the sector for proof. She found it in Tom's arms. "You," the matriarch said, her attention swinging to Tom like a searchlight, the hatchling launching itself from his shoulders to hers in a blur of wings and joyful shrieking, "are the one who pulled her from the threshold." "I just found her in the trash," Tom said, "because it seemed important to be honest. Didn't know what she was." "It would not have mattered to you if you had," the matriarch said. "It wasn't a question." "No," Tom agreed. "It wouldn't have." The matriarch considered that for a long moment, then made a sound that the translator rendered, imperfectly, as something between a laugh and a roar. "Then humanity," she said, loud enough for the entire atrium, the Ashgard delegation, and probably several nearby star systems to hear, "has earned the debt of the old clutch. Ask, and it shall be given. Threaten what is ours again," she added, swiveling toward Skrethval, "and you will learn precisely how large that debt has become." The Ashgard delegation left the station considerably faster than they'd arrived. Tom went back to mopping floors the next night, because someone still had to, and dragons apparently didn't come with a severance package for janitorial staff. The hatchling, who Lily had started calling Ember, a name that stuck before anyone decided who got to name a dragon, still curled up in the supply closet most nights, waiting for him. "You know you're famous now," Lily said, leaning in the doorway, watching him refill his cart. "The guy who saved a dragon princess and told off an alien empire in the same week." "I threw out some trash and made a friend," Tom said. "Rest of it just kind of happened." Ember chirped from her perch on the shelf, unfolding one wing like she was stretching, and settled her golden eyes on him with the same look she'd had that first night. The look of something that had decided, in the space between dying and not, exactly who it belonged to. Tom scratched under her jaw and picked his mop back up. "Come on," he said. "Still got a shift to finish."